Let's go.
Those Were the Days is filmed before a live internet audience.
Hello and welcome to Those Were the Days, the show that looks at old TV through new eyes. I am this week's host, Amy, and we are taking a little trip down to nowhere. I'm not going to go alone, though. I'm going to bring with me... I got nothing. I'm going to bring with me Audie.
We interrupt this program to bring you Those Were the Days show, starring Amy, Steven, Travis, and myself, a crew of adults who play around with mics on the internet. They came together to talk about TV, sometimes old, sometimes weird, sometimes creepy, sometimes downright bad. It's up to this crew to sift through it all and talk all about it. Ooga booga booga.
Yeah, I should have just done that. Why did I just do
was
that?
good.
That would have been great. I could have just done And we have Travis.
So, as someone who lives in the middle of nowhere, I can tell you that all sorts of weird, crazy, creepy, and spooky things do in fact happen. But I have a dog that is only slightly more courageous than courage.
And Steven.
Tonight on Unsolved Mysteries, a cat, a dog, a bunny, a meaner dog. Bunny and Kitty are separated, and Kitty doesn't take it well. An unlikely hero emerges, but so do the questions. Are all dogs good boys? Do they all go to heaven? Or are some dogs bad to the bone?
This week we are continuing This Is for Kids with an episode of Courage the Cowardly Dog, a favorite show of mine. Ran for 4 seasons from 1999 to 2002, 52 episodes. Now, I will say, because I did find out via the internet earlier that Steven had not seen this program. So I will say up front that this episode is an atypical one.
I hope so.
Is the most adult for sure, and arguably the actually scariest. But most episodes are like 2 short episodes that go together. This is technically like a 2-parter that just goes into one. It's a story of courage, a very scared dog who gets adopted by Eustace and Muriel Bang, who live in the middle of nowhere. That is the name of the town. Live in this big old farmhouse in a dust field. And weird things happen. A lot of weird things, like the alien duck brothers from outer space, or the bayou snake that gives Muriel a cold, or those are my favorite ones. Those are the best ones. They're just so good. Or cats. So that I feel is important for this episode, is that there is a cat character that reoccurs and that Courage has an awful lot of trouble with, which leads to problems in this episode. So this came out of this was created by John R. Dilworth, whose caricature can be seen in portrait frames around the house. That weird face, that's him. That's his little self-portrait caricature.
I love that.
Courage grew out of a short from, like, it's the like typical animation story, right? You start your little animation studio, you start playing around, and things turn into other things. And the first, he did make a short with the alien chickens, who are so good. And it was even nominated for best animated short film. Unfortunately, it was up against Wallace and Gromit: A Close Shave.
Oh.
Oh, boy.
Yeah. That's just tough. That's just unlucky.
Mm-hmm. That's
I love-
your Weird Al's UHF going up against Batman in 1980.
Yeah, like, what are you gonna
Right.
do? You just gotta go, all right, well,
Nice
we
try.
were here.
It's an
That-
honor
in
to be
those, it's-
nominated.
Yeah, exactly. In those
Yeah.
cases, you do go, well, it's an honor just to be nominated. We didn't stand a chance at all. I love the style of this show, with the like photograph collage backgrounds that just makes
Mhm.
it so weird. One of my favorite movies when I was a kid is a very little known Australian, Australian movie called Dot and the Kangaroo that has all live action backgrounds, and so I think that's part of what makes Courage appeal to me. Courage came out the year I graduated high school, the fall I started college, which I feel like is actually it may be a show made for kids, but that is the sweet spot to find it. You know what I mean? It was
Mhm.
like when
Oh, yeah.
Blue's Clues came out when I was in high school and we were all obsessed with it. It was just the right time for like the absolute wrong audience. But I want to know about you guys and Courage. Since I already gave it away, I will start with Steven.
Sure, no clue. I remember this cartoon. This was Cartoon Network. Like around the Cow and Chicken and IR Baboon and
Mhm.
all that stuff. Period of just, you know what? Greenlight it. Does it look weird? Just go. Just make whatever you want. We got a network to run here. And for the most part, I wasn't watching this stuff. I was waiting until Adult Swim and watching C Lab 2021
Yes.
and Space Ghost the whole time. I didn't even know they were doing cartoons in the day. I was so out of it. I don't know. Yeah, but yeah, I didn't know anything about it. I think I have friends that were into it because they were the same friends that were into Invader Zim and stuff
Yeah.
at the time.
Mhm.
I feel like there's a lot of like shared DNA amongst cartoons, like thinking about Gendy Tartakovsky's stuff too. Like,
Mhm.
like it's all kind of in that same zone to me a little bit. This definitely in the more zany. Powerpuff Girls and Johnny Bravo and stuff was different than this, but they seem like they were like there was an evolution into this kind of thing that was happening
Sure.
at Cartoon Network. But no, thank you for bringing it to my attention and making me watch it.
Audie, how about you?
Yeah, I'm with Steven. I'd never watched this before.
Ah.
In a similar boat, I watched other things on Cartoon Network and stuff. Like, I was waiting for Toonami to come around and Dragon Ball Z and stuff. So, um, yeah, this one, like, I knew about it. I knew the name, I knew the style, and it's like, oh, okay. But I'd never watched it before now. So,
Interesting.
yeah.
Travis.
So yeah, this was in kind of that second wave of Cartoon Network originals.
Yeah.
In a way, like I watched a lot of What a Cartoon slash
Mhm.
cartoon stuff early on, and so I really got into those. And this came along, and I do remember it because I remember watching episodes of this, and Cow and Chicken was one that I watched a good bit of, and I remember it, but it wasn't one that I was diehard about. Like there were other series that I just connected to more. I feel like though that was partially a product of just who I was at that time, because watching
Sure.
this now, it's just so weird, and I just
Mhm.
love the weirdness of it.
All right. So I did bring, like I said, I did bring the most. I will say the most adult episode, as well as arguably the scariest, because like the things that are happening in most Courage episodes are bad, but also so far out there. And there's just little pieces of this one that hit a little too close to
Uh-huh.
home. And you go,
Yeah.
man, we really put this on TV, huh? For children?
Yeah.
Okay.
I was definitely watching this. Like, yeah, I can see how this is normally a zany cartoon, but this one, oof.
This one is
Mm.
not. And I feel bad. I feel like it's not giving it a fair shake that this is your first episode, but also it's a hell of an episode. It's some crazy storytelling.
Yeah, it is.
So, we open. Muriel's collecting eggs from the hen house, and Courage is sleeping outside in the shade. And a figure in a white robe and a white mask appears. She proclaims that all dogs are evil, and then proceeds to beat the living daylights out of Courage.
With
This
like
sort
a
of
kitchen
thing,
sink.
yeah.
Yeah.
This sort of thing happens a lot to poor Courage. The we get to the final visual of it later, but the really like coral reef of bumps that his head becomes is like
Oh.
very disconcerting.
By the way, if you're making something and you want me to hate a character, all you have to do is have them disparage dogs. By saying all dogs are evil, I was like, well, I hate you now. So,
no, she's
you go.
got her reasons.
I was
Yes.
definitely into the cartoon violence initially, though. I was like, you
Yeah.
know what? We don't,
Mhm.
because I was a Looney Tunes kid. I was like, we don't get
Yeah.
enough of this anymore. This is good. But then it went hard, and I was like,
Dark.
okay,
It's
all
a
right,
dark one.
I was
we
like,
Yeah.
we get it.
It's starting to get into Ren and Stimpy territory of like, just let's see how brutally
Yeah.
illustrative we can get with this.
Yes.
I would say arguably the most terrifying part is part that they do not show us, and we'll get there.
Yeah.
So Muriel comes out and is completely oblivious because that is the big thing. She's the sweetest woman, and she is generally speaking completely oblivious to anything that's going on. And she's like, "Oh, good, you made a friend." Courage doesn't make a lot of friends. You guys play. You know, come in for tea. And then the mysterious figure beats him with a washing machine.
Yeah.
So they're having lunch and tea, and the masked figure is there, and she says that her name is Kitty. And I would say that at this point, Courage is also oblivious for later when he gets real surprised. But her name is Kitty, and she explains that her best friend Bunny became involved with a gangster and named Mad Dog, who did not like that they were friends and did not like when Kitty tried to take Bunny away, and threatened to kill her and Kitty if Kitty ever came back. So now Kitty's just wandering, lost, without Bunny. Dark.
Very.
Very much
And
so.
The brutal part is because at one point she's like, you know, and he treats her like his slave, and freaking Eustace is like my kind of guy.
Yeah.
Oh no!
I think the most off-putting thing that just throughout the whole episode, the music is flippin' creepy. It doesn't let up once the whole time. You're just sitting there like, this is a cartoon. Yeah, but it's just Twin Peaks level unsettling sounds coming out all the time. And I was like, what is happening?
So the other part is when she like takes a sip of the tea with her mask on, and it just like drips down the front, and you're like, that's so strange. So Eustace tells her to take the mask off, and she table swipes and talks about how dogs are bad. So Courage is watching TV. The programs that come on television, if they are not relevant to the episode, are always absolutely wild. And this one is like paper marionettes of a dog and a cat fighting. So he's just having a good time.
He's so happy. I was so proud for him. I was like, you
watching
just
his shows.
love your show, you sweet, sweet puppy.
Kitty comes in and begins to beat him with the fish, which is already weird. Until Muriel comes in and goes, "Oh, there's my halibut," and this cat just beating him, and she's like, "All right, you guys just play then. We'll be in here." So Muriel goes upstairs to deal with the clogged toilet. Poor bandaged Courage comes up to help. She's like, "Here, you see what you can do. I'm gonna go get Eustace." And uh, Kitty comes in and eventually starts using courage as the toilet plunger. Then just drops the lid and flushes it. When
Well, and
Eustace comes in
Eustace-
and he's like, oh,
Yeah.
Yeah.
because Eustace does not like courage, even though courage saves his life all of the time. Does not like this dog. Yeah, it's like, okay.
He just apologizes and leaves.
Puts down the lid, flushes it. Great. So at dinner, Eustace brings up the mask again. And is like, you can't even eat. And Kitty says that she doesn't want to face reality. And Muriel's really sweet. You know, she's like, hey, listen, we do all have to face reality. And Kitty's like, oh yeah, like how you have extra sweets when nobody's looking.
Mm.
And Eustace is like, hey. She's like, or how you can't fix anything. Oh no, strife. He is really bad at it. So
He is, which is what makes it funny when he, goes into the bathroom. He's like, "Oh, I'm sorry," and he leaves. And as he's coming down the stairs, Muriel hears the toilet flushing.
Yeah.
She's like, "Oh, you fixed the toilet."
Yeah. So Muriel sets up a bed for Kitty in the attic. In the attic is also the computer, which we did not get in this episode, but that is really pretty terrific. It speaks to Courage. Courage does a lot of like movie airline typing on it, like just like so many characters. It's real good. But that's where it lives. So Kitty gets a bed, and as she's getting ready for bed, she takes off her mask. Courage is watching through the peephole, through the keyhole, and is surprised to learn that Kitty is a cat. Now, this is one of the best reactions, right? Because he loses his mind and his like yell turns into a kookaburra
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
for no reason whatsoever.
None.
And then he sees her take out a toy mouse and bat it around on the bed, which is the most cat thing that happens. And so, because it's a cat and because Courage has had some bad times with a cat, he tries to go wake up, get Muriel and Eustace to do something. And Eustace just kicks him out. So he locks Kitty in. So after Eustace kicks him out, he locks them into their room, presumably to keep them safe. And he sneaks out the side of the house to steal the mouse, presumably as evidence, which he imagines that he's going to take to the police, who will then send the military to come get the big scary cat.
Yep. And I love the fact that, like, because I remembered earlier episodes, Courage spoke more.
Yes.
But I loved how, like, all of the stuff going on, and it was just his thought bubbles and just images of what he thought was going to happen. So it's like, oh, if I get that thing, I'll take it to the cops and they'll send the army. And, meanwhile, he's also freaking out, having nightmares about the weird
mask
creature,
eating.
mask eating Eustace and Muriel.
Yeah. And that's the other part of it too, right? Is that in that scene, right after they send the military, right? They're gonna send the military and he's gonna get the cat. And then you see because earlier we had a thing where the scary mask ate half of Eustace.
Yes.
So it's Muriel there thanking Courage for saving her, and then it's just like the bottom half of Eustace.
I'm so glad that I finally got to watch this, because I have seen Eustace on the internet, like as just a figure, a million times. I had no idea where he was from. I was like, what?
Yeah.
Why does he look fake? Now I'm like, oh, that's why we have him in the culture. I get it. I feel like I'm included now. That's what Those Were the Days can do for you.
It is.
For the low price of nothing, you can be introduced to culture.
So Courage steals Eustace's truck, which is really good. There's a good episode where Goose falls in love with the truck because of the honk. It's very good. And drives to the diner for a milkshake and a think. I don't know why he goes to the diner, but he goes to
Yeah,
the
I don't
diner to
either.
have a milkshake and I don't know, think about it, I guess. Why not? You're out.
Yeah.
Sure.
Um and he starts, of course, daydreaming again about what's happening back at the house. And he yells, and Charlie the Mouse is running the diner. Charlie the Mouse is a recurring character. He's just a giant mouse in a tank top. Just huge, massive. So he runs it. Courage has the mouse toy. And he's like, "Isn't that Kitty's mouse? Oh, are you a friend of Kitty and Bunny?" So then we find out that Kitty and Bunny are the sweetest girls that ever lived.
Mhm.
And that that Bunny is not doing well without Kitty.
Before
Which
we learn all that, though, we get yet another nightmare-inducing image, which is Courage removing his ears and his eyes and his teeth.
yeah. All
Oh,
right, so
yeah,
that
that was
happens
a
a
lot.
lot though. When he because when Courage speaks, like if Courage actually speaks, he only speaks to himself / the audience.
Mhm.
No one in this world can understand him. Like that's a big thing. So every time he tries to communicate, there's a lot of big miming, there's a lot of shape shifting. In this particular version, as he's telling the story to Charlie the Mouse, he just disassembles his face. I don't know what message this is conveying, but it is. Charlie seems to get it,
Yeah.
so I guess it's okay. You know, like, it is really funny. Yeah, because it's just very calm, just removing his ears and eyes and nose and teeth. Charlie's like, yeah, and then he just puts his face back together. I didn't see. That's the thing. That is the most Courage part about this particular episode, and so it just kind of glazed through my head because I was like, yes, of course he did. Back at the farmhouse, Muriel needs to use the bathroom. Unfortunately, the door is locked. She can't get it open. She wakes up Eustace, says, "I can't get the door open. I have to use the bathroom. I can't get the door open." And he's like, "Can't get the door open. Can't get the door open." And of course, he also cannot get the door open. Meanwhile, upstairs, Kitty wakes up to find her mouse gone, which is unacceptable. She knows that terrible dog stole it because, of course, he did, which he actually did.
Yeah.
So she's screaming, and Muriel's like, "Oh, she must have to use the bathroom too." She's
I'd
like, "You
like
gotta
to
get her out. You gotta help her."
I would like to point out how wonderfully animated Muriel's "I gotta go
Mhm.
pee" dance
It's so
is.
Mhm.
good.
It is.
There's humming.
I had to go pee. Like the whole. I was just watching, and I was like, I can tell. I gotta go now because she is
Yeah.
dancing exactly as
Mhm.
I would expect a person to dance when they've got to go.
Eustace takes a he makes it like a blanket rope ladder to go out the window to go help Kitty. Meanwhile, Muriel happens to look down and sees a bobby pin, and she's like, "Oh, yes." Which I gotta tell you, babe, if you have one bobby pin, you have like so many bobby pins.
Right.
There's probably a dish on your dresser full of bobby pins. I do like that she wears like the silk cap.
Mhm.
It's real good. We're back doing that. That's a new in. That's the in thing now. We're all
You
doing
do
it.
that
It's real
again?
good.
Oh
Yeah,
wow.
yeah, it's the new thing. Yep.
Okay.
Saw a video of just like how important it is to Just wear your little silk hat. Keep your hair nice. I was like,
What is
okay.
old is new again.
Yeah, why not?
Mhm.
Um so Kitty climbs out the window to go get her mouse back from uh the terrible dog. So Courage, knowing that they're from the wrong side of the tracks, goes to the railroad tracks. And they're in like this terrifying house, building, whatever. So scary. On the wrong
Surrounded by
side of the
nuclear
tracks.
plants. Like, if you
Yeah.
thought that the middle of nowhere looked desolate and terrible, go to the wrong side of the tracks, and it is it's 2 times more terrible.
Yeah. There's a reason there's nothing here.
Right.
Um because Courage was moved by Charlie the Mouse's story about, and he does. Charlie the Mouse does say, when you see him, tell him Charlie says hey.
Mm-hmm.
So Courage is kind of looking at the building, trying to figure stuff up, and that's when Mad Dog and his crew show up in their pink Cadillac. I don't know.
Why not?
Wine. It was 99, man.
Yeah.
What
It was the times.
The rappers were all wearing pastels. It was just,
Yeah.
it was what we were doing.
Leopard print, flamboyant,
Yeah.
boas. I mean, it was a wild time.
That's true.
We forget.
We do.
Yeah, it was definitely Pimp My Ride era.
Mhm,
Yeah.
that's
Pimp
true.
My Ride.
So we meet Mad Dog and his 2 goons, all of whom are Doberman.
Of course.
And because they are the scariest looking dog. Like, I know that they can be very sweet, but they are very scary looking. They're very sleek, pointy boys, full of muscle, scary looking. And we see Mad Dog drag Bunny into the house. And
Everything that happens from here forward,
Yep. Very
I was
uncomfortable.
not prepared for.
No. And this is the point at which we go, this is for children.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. Like,
Yeah.
even if your definition of children is like I mean we're not talking like 5 or 6, but if we're talking like 12 or 13 and you're going, who?
Yeah.
Right.
Who?
Okay.
I wrote who wrote this in my notes because
Yeah.
like there's a clear point at which it was weird but for kids, and then wait just a
Oh
second.
boy, we're learning some lessons.
Yeah.
Mhm.
This is like when I went to see Varsity Blues when I was 15.
So Courage climbs up the fire escape and we see Bunny and Mad Dog in the room, and Bunny is just sitting kind of catatonic on the couch, and he's like, what do you thinking about that cat? Because you make sure you don't think of anything ever again.
Mm-hmm.
And so
Oof.
obviously she gets really upset because it's really terrible. And then comes the worst part, and that is when he's like, oh, come here, let's just be like we used to be, happy. And I was like, oh god, this is so bad.
But
Yeah.
I wrote down in my notes, I think I'm developing some trauma watching this.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
like I'm seeing an actual well-performed abusive
Yep.
relationship play
Yep.
out in a
Mhm.
cartoon in front of me in a
Mhm.
nasty apartment building with
Mhm.
the
On the wrong
tarot
side of the tracks.
on the it is this was a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah. it was.
Yeah.
Yeah. So Bunny manages to hook part of his collar, which that's not how collars work, but that's okay. Manages to hook part of his collar onto the wall, the sconce on the
Mhm.
wall. And she goes over to the other stove, and he's obviously angry. She goes over to the other sofa and gets out her little suitcase. She has been prepared for this moment. She's got a go bag.
Mhm.
This is happening. And she opens the door, and there are the two goons. Then this is the hands down worst part, because we only see Courage. We do not see what is happening in the room, but we hear it, and it's
Mhm.
not good.
No.
No,
Oh,
this is real bad.
it's
Mhm.
really bad. When we do eventually get to see, we do find out she was buried in dirt in a giant flower pot, which,
Yeah.
okay, I don't understand the metaphor, but sure.
That's why I
Um,
want to understand the metaphor.
Yeah, no, we're just gonna go with it. So Bunny sees Courage through the window and is upset because, oh no, another
Another dog.
dog.
Yeah.
Rightfully so.
Yeah, duh.
So Courage holds up the mouse, which on the bottom says "To Kitty, Love Bunny,"
Mhm.
and she's like, "Oh, that's Kitty's mouse. Okay, you got to get me out of here before they come back." So this is real good Courage stuff. Courage tries to open the window.
Mhm.
Obviously, the window doesn't open. There's 8 years worth of paint gluing that window shut.
Of course.
And so he just hurls himself at the window. Which is great. So he goes over to start digging her out, and one of the goons shows up. And so Courage is standing there, and the goon looks at him, and he's just standing there with a shovel, and he just flicks the light switch off, and you
Mhm.
hear a lot of commotion. Flick the light switch on, and the goon is mangled on the floor.
Mhm.
Okay,
That
I
great.
was
love
good.
how in the dark Courage has courage.
Yeah.
I, for one, think that Courage is horribly misnamed, at least in this episode. And cowardly isn't an appropriate word to use, because you get a creepy cat wandering around your house beating you up with kitchen sink. I don't think cowardly is a word I would use for what
No.
your
No.
behavior.
No.
Yeah. Self-preservation.
No.
Yeah.
Reasonable would be the word I
Now,
would use.
he
Right?
did yell
Yes.
until his voice turned into a kookaburra, and I feel like that might have been a little much. So he's still he digs her out. Oh, he pulls her out. And the other goon comes in, manages to beat that one up, and they are both buried in the flower pot.
Mhm.
Fantastic. So now they gotta get out before Mad Dog comes. So Courage throws himself through the window again. They're out on the fire escape. The fire escape ladder is there, but it doesn't go all the way down. So Bunny is panicking because there's no way out. Mad Dog comes to the window, and he is like they've been walking upright like people, and now he is on all fours growling scary dog. Courage manages to unhook the ladder, which plummets to the ground. Okay. We hear train whistle in the distance. This is important.
Mhm.
Courage gives the mouse to Bunny and sends her running down the tracks. Mad Dog jumps in his car to chase her. Courage throws himself through the back windshield, drives the car onto the tracks towards the oncoming train, and then leaps out as the train collides with the car. Unreal.
It's
But don't worry,
awesome.
Mad Dog is okay.
He's just splattered against the front of
He's
the
just
train.
splattered. He's laughing.
Unfortunately.
He's fine. Yeah.
Mhm.
So back home, Muriel and Eustace make up. Fine, great.
Yeah.
because they were fighting about how he can't fix anything and she eats too many snacks. When he can't get the door open when she has to pee, she's like, Kitty was right, you can't fix anything. And he just goes, want some chocolate? Unbelievable. So Bunny and Courage are now safe, and they hear a voice calling for Bunny. And there in the caboose of the train is Kitty, who has a fox's tail for some reason. I don't understand it. It's fine.
Yeah, that's fine.
So Bunny runs, just talking about this dog saved my life. And her little voice is so good. It's so squeaky and delightful. And Kitty pulls her up onto the train. Is like, I guess I was wrong. I guess not all dogs are bad. Hashtag not all dogs.
Right.
And they thank Courage. And good news, guys. Now they can be best friends forever. Or so the historians will say.
Well,
That's,
so
that's what we'll call it.
That's
funny,
what we're
funny
calling
thing
it.
though
It's
is
undertone.
in the trivia for this episode, John R.
Yeah.
Dilworth has confirmed that Kitty and Bunny started dating after the mask ended.
Okay. I mean, we knew.
Obviously. I would
Yeah. I
mean, we
argue
knew
they
that,
were
yeah.
dating before it
I was gonna say,
started.
yep.
Same.
They were,
Yeah.
certainly.
This was 2003, 2004. You can't say that
2002.
on TV.
No.
Oh, yeah.
Mm.
2002. We're
No,
not
we were
saying
not
that
there.
out
No,
loud.
you can't.
No, we
especially
still got
not-
people mad at Ellen.
Yeah.
We're not
Yeah.
having this
When
conversation.
was the
Right.
Will and Grace one? When was that?
Oh, Will and Grace was popular.
Right, but the kiss,
But-
because that was the big thing.
Oh yeah.
Oh, yeah. When did that happen? More facts on today's Those Were the Days.
I'll never find it now. Oh,
But even still,
Tell me
like
the
this is a Cartoon Network
Sure. This
animated
is kids.
show.
oh, sure,
Yeah.
sure. This is
Yeah.
for children.
Yeah.
Okay, Will and Grace
But yeah,
Kiss was the 14th episode of the second season, so we're into 2000 at that point.
Yeah. So, I mean, recent.
not
but,
long.
and that's for
We're
adults.
still- yeah, so we can have a cat, a kitty, and a bunny be best friends.
Mm-hmm.
I've just realized some very adult connotations of that, and I've only just realized it right now. And it's fine. It's fine. We're
Mhm.
gonna let it go. We're not gonna
We'll-
talk
we'll
about it.
let
This
that-
is
yeah.
for children.
Right?
Yeah. It's a children's show.
Ask your perverted friend to explain it to you.
Search on Google later.
Yeah. Matt, I only just caught that. All right. um, and that's how so back home, Muriel is sitting on the front porch because she doesn't know where Courage is gone.
Mm-hmm.
Like that's part of it too, is like Courage is just not at home. So Muriel's sitting on the front porch when Courage drives the truck home.
Mm-hmm.
Perfectly normal.
Hands totally.
And she's like, "Oh, Kitty's gone, but she did leave something, and Eustace is really taking a shine to it." And we see Eustace in the basement with the heater furnace that he previously just sort of threw
Yeah.
in a direction and said, "I fixed it." And he's down there wearing the mask like a welding mask. I did forget when he's trying to get Kitty out of the room. He's trying to jimmy the lock open with a screwdriver, which breaks. And he's like, cheap tools. And then he's trying to bash the handle with a rock, which crumbles. And he says, cheap rocks. And then by the time Muriel gets there, he has so many explosives.
Mm-hmm.
He's like, this is the only way I can get it open. And she's like, here, use a hairpin.
Yeah. I was gonna say,
Um,
Wile E. Coyote would have been very proud of it.
very
Yes.
proud of this tactic. So he's downstairs trying to fix the furnace, and he yells up, "Hey Muriel, do you have a bobby pin?" That's the end of the episode. The super heavy, scary
Mhm.
episode. I would have brought you the Goose God had I known. The Goose God is quite good. You know what I mean? Like there are so many just very, very light and silly episodes I could have brought. But this was for children.
See, here's the
Yes.
thing. You tell me the other episodes are light, but after watching this and you hearing you say Goose God, I can only imagine what that episode would be like.
It's really good. It's phenomenal. There's very little abuse in it. I mean, I'm sure Courage gets beat up, but that's
Sure.
different. That's a whole different thing. I want to know what you guys thought of this. I'll start with you, Travis, since you are vaguely familiar with the show.
It was what I remembered the show being for the most part. Darker than I remember. So I don't think I ever saw this particular episode, but I would watch more of it because it is that just weird. It just goes hard into the weird, absurd craziness.
So absurd. Yeah.
And I love that. But yeah, it was also very, very dark, and I wasn't prepared for how dark it was going to get.
Yeah. I don't think the rest of them. I mean, I'm not saying that there are no other dark episodes,
Right.
but this is dark top to bottom
Mhm.
in a very real way.
And in a way that younger me wouldn't have noticed at all. Like it wouldn't have
Yeah.
registered to a younger version of me what was so dark about this one. So
Sure.
Yeah.
Audie, how about you?
Yeah, I dug it after finally watching it. Definitely with Steven, like once we got to Mad Dog's part of it, like it took a turn,
Mhm.
hard turn to like this ain't for kids, even though it's for kids, this ain't for kids kind of thing. And it's like, whoa, okay. But it was a fun watch. It's definitely one of those where I'd probably put it on in the background,
Yeah.
doing some work and stuff.
Mhm.
But it was fun to finally experience it.
This episode very much feels like they knew it was their final season, so they're like, we're going hard
yeah.
all the
Oh,
way. Let's go. Steven, what did you think?
Yeah, I respect Courage the Cowardly Dog for what it did. It's after watching it, man. Yeah, it was. There's cartoons when you say like, is this for kids? There's cartoons where you walk in, your kid's watching a show, and you go, oh, these crazy kids and their cartoons today. And then there's cartoons where you walk in, your kids watch, you're like, what the devil? Turn that channel, do something else. And
Mhm.
this episode of Courage was definitely one of those where what is it? Turn the channel. Just find
Mhm.
something good for you. That's probably where I landed on it. The art was super cool. I
Yeah.
liked the music. The music I brought up is unsettling. It did its job. It was
Yeah.
very good.
Oh yeah.
The cat creeped me out all the way through the first half of the episode. They only lost me when the like accurate displays of abuse were occurring in the latter half.
Mhm.
I don't know that I would revisit Courage the Cowardly Dog. I don't think
Sure.
it's for me.
Okay.
But I enjoyed watching the episode. I'm glad I finally got some exposure to it, and got to see it. And I know that if I were going to give it another try, I would pick another like two story episode, like you
Yeah,
mentioned
yeah,
at the
yeah.
top. Yeah, and probably have a good time.
Yeah, there's a really good one. I forgot about this one until going through the list. Season 3, episode 8 has a story where Eustace and Muriel and Courage go on vacation to Europe, and they accidentally get locked into the Louvre, and all the statues and art comes alive at
Ooh.
night.
Oh boy.
And there's a whole thing between the Mona Lisa and Thinker come to life, and they force Muriel and Eustace to take their place so that
Oh,
they can
God.
go out and like go on a date and be real people for a while. Real good.
I will say I'm
amazing.
kind of happy. I had initially wanted to go, hey Sam, we're gonna watch a cartoon. You should watch it with me. I'm real glad that he didn't want to do that
Yeah.
with me for
Yeah.
this episode, which says a lot about the theme for this month. It's you nailed it.
Yeah.
You did the right episode for this.
Yeah.
For
I
sure.
tried.
Yeah,
Did we get any feedback?
I have no mail in the mailbag this week.
Okay.
I did not see any myself.
Yeah, I don't think I got anything on the socials about it. Let me check. The Blue Ski.
The Blue Ski.
Which you can find
But
us at
you
Those Days
can,
Show. Blue Ski.
yeah.
Yeah.
Social.
You can also email us at thosewerethedayshow@gmail.com.
Mm-hmm.
We have one final week of This Is for Kids.
We do.
We
And
do.
it's my good friend Travis. Travis,
Yes.
what are we doing next week?
Well, we had Courage the Cowardly Dog. I thought maybe we could take a trip down under and hang out with a wallaby. We're gonna check out Rocko's Modern Life.
Oh boy.
Nice.
In particular, this is another one of those where the episode numbers are different depending on where you look. So on
Sure.
IMDb, it
Yeah.
listed as episode 5 of season 1, but on Paramount Plus, which is where it's streaming, it's episode 11, and it is Power Trip / To Heck and Back. Is the episode we're going to watch.
Fantastic. Rocko's Modern Life. Rocko's Modern Life. Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Yep, it's in there. Good work. I'm so happy.
Yep.
Only I could
already
use
humming
this
it.
power for good.
And you said it's where, Travis?
It's on Paramount Plus.
Okay. I heard somebody on a podcast this week talk about start saying all those pluses as positive. So Disney positive, Paramount positive.
There you go.
Outstanding.
We are Paramount positive in this house. We have
We
it
are.
because this is where a lot of shows are.
Mhm.
We asked for this. Go back to 2008 and just remember how much we wanted a la
I
carte
knew that
TV.
this was going to be bad.
Yep.
I didn't
Yeah.
want it. I just wanted DVDs in the mail, man. was
I
great.
just all I wanted was to be able to subscribe to Discovery Channel, and that's it.
Yeah.
I just wanted that one
Yeah.
thing. Now
Yeah.
look at me.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's the problem, though, is back then there was only like 2 good things.
Yeah, my parents are now like, we're paying the same price we paid for Dish Network with streaming TV, and I said, yeah, you probably should have just kept Dish Network. You'd been fine for what you watch.
All right. So until next week, and Rocko's Modern Life.
Well, we got a poll. We got a
yeah.
poll.
Oh, we got a poll.
We got a
do have
poll.
poll.
People,
Oh my God.
We got our stuff together today. Believe it or
We
not.
did for once.
We did.
I don't have the link handy. Someone
Let's put it in the chat. It's okay.
Two-
We got a poll for you.
.net/poll.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Number 2,
Dorks.net/poll.
/poll.
We'll take
You
it
can
to
help us pick our next topic for once, which we have not done in quite some time
Yeah.
because we keep getting to the point and going, oh, we didn't pick. Oh, all right. But now you can vote. You can make your voice heard. You can choose our next topic.
Yeah.
Uh,
Which are? Do you
It's-
want me to read the
which
themes for the
are-
people?
so we have the options are military, crossover episodes, family sitcoms, and cop shows.
Ho ho
Very
ho.
exciting.
Mm-hmm.
A varied group.
Yes.
Yeah, should be fun.
All right. So until next week and Rocko's Modern Life, please go vote in the poll. And for Travis, for Steven, for Audie, I'm Amy. And thank you for listening to Those Were the Days.
Ooga booga booga.